Okay, good afternoon and welcome to ASCII News. I'm JT Davis and I have with me here Julian Starr, who is a candidate for the position of Bureaucrat Councillor. How are you today, Julian?
I'm well, thank you, JT.
Excellent, it's good to see you again. So let's start by you introducing yourself in your own words.
Sure. I think a lot of the bunker know me already. I'm Julian Starr. I'm the Minister for Internal Affairs, which is about as exciting as it sounds. In the Ascendant Civil Service.
Excellent, thank you. And why do you want to be on the council?
I feel I am a well-equipped candidate with a history behind me. Bluntly, there is an excellent team in the civil service in Bunker Ascendant. And I feel, given the history I have with both the team internally and on surface operations, that I'm qualified and I've got, as I say, the experience and the time on the surface in diplomatic accords to really lead us forward into making something new and something better out of Bunker Ascendant.
Okay. And should you be elected, what plans do you have for the bunker and the Ascendancy?
So I think those are two really different questions. I think I'll start with the Ascendancy because that's perhaps the newer and the more exciting element to it. I think the current assembly of the Ascendancy is ad hoc. Um, that is, it's been come together as this treaty of convenience here and there, and then there was it's a mess, bluntly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, yeah, I feel it could be codified. I feel we should draw up a document that actually says this is our commitment, this is the commitment of our partners,
Mm-hmm.
and so we all know where we stand, and we all know what we can call upon our friends and our allies to assist us with. Um, Regarding the bunker itself,
Mm-hmm.
that's a far more civil issue. We are moving in a really exciting phase. We are coming out of the point where we are fighting for our survival, and we're moving to a point where we can thrive and become more than just a survivalist bunker in amongst ourselves and looking after ourselves. I want to move to a point where we can begin to enjoy life in security. And I think that is a transition that my administration would keep at the forefront of its policy objectives.
Thank you. So obviously you're looking at the future. How will you ensure sensitive information about the bunker does not fall into the hands of those who will be considered our enemies?
So naturally, with any administration, there is a large amount of sensitive information.
Mm.
Um, we are fortunate enough to have a council that are elected with the purview and the mandate of the citizens, and that comes with it that responsibility to manage the affairs in the interest of the public, and that's not necessarily what the public is interested in,
Mm.
if that makes sense. So I feel that, particularly for surface operations, redaction should be a council matter, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
to say it's an open council matter, obviously, but if there is a restriction of information to members of the FEF, then that is a matter for a quorate majority council. If there is, obviously, in wider international affairs, there similarly we're going to have secrets of state, and those secrets need to be known by our agents of state, our councillors, and they should come to a decision, not in any one of them squirreling in a corner, but with the accountability of multiple councillors being known to have ordered the withdrawal and the redaction of that information.
Thank you very much. So what are your thoughts on the other factions on the surface then? That led quite nicely into that. Well done.
So factions is a broad term. I think it's a lot. There are some that can be put in very nice, easy to deal with sections. There
Mm-hmm.
are the Hive, which are obviously there's a not a diplomatic accord. Those are at the moment a military, a scientific, an engineering, and a medical objective.
Mm.
Um, I don't ever foresee, and I don't think anyone does, peace with the Hive.
No.
Um, I don't think that's possible. Regarding New Fortitude, that's something I've had quite a lot of involvement in. I've said from the beginning, it is for New Fortitude to choose their path. We have a treaty with them in mutual defence. If anything evolves from that, great, that's cooperation. But that is in Fortitude's court. We are not giving any more aid to Fortitude than Fortitude requests and we agree to. There's sort of two distinct groups of tribals in my mind. There are the United Free Peoples under Warlord Rays. They are a valued member of the Ascendancy. They've saved surface operations in a great many ways, a great amount of turmoil. They are some of the finest fighters and diplomats and people we have. The distant tribes, also known as Fortitude tribes, are less known to us, and I think it's a really important diplomatic accord that we assess who they are and assess what they are. And if they have an interest in us, great. If they don't, then there's no reason we can't coexist without becoming a problem for each other. There's no reason for us to be a problem for each other. Otherwise, there is obviously the network, the elusive and mysterious figures in the background. We don't know it. We don't know enough other than they're a threat. Everyone we speak to, the network is a threat. We would be foolish if we didn't take that on board. They're likely to be aggrieved at us for our assistance in the liberation of New Fortitude. We need to be aware of that. Finally, there is Aegis. Don't really know them. We've met Brother Eli twice of 2 evenings as their diplomat, and that's it. They make some very compelling offers, but without meaning a pun, I am wary of Greeks bearing gifts.
Yeah.
If they are an opportunity to advance what we are and who we are and how we do things, fine. But as I said in my manifesto, we cannot sacrifice our principles for convenience.
Okay, thank you very much. So what do you think then is the biggest challenge the FEF faces, and how do you plan to overcome that or work towards overcoming that?
I think there's a lot of tension growing in the FEF between the members of the Ascendancy and of Fortitude. I think there is a consideration of national interests not above, but alongside FEF interests. And I feel it's very important for us to identify what the FEF is and how its objectives are set, and to ensure that the FEF is never taking measures against anyone's national interest, because we all contribute to the FEF. We all deserve to reap the rewards of it.
Okay, thank you. So how do you intend to address the increased concern that C7 usage is directly linked to psychic ability? And what do you think about it being the reason for the fall 500 years ago?
So C7 is a very complicated matter. We are obviously reliant on it. Whatever we do in the short term, we are going to be using C7. If it's linked to psychic ability, that's very interesting from a scientific perspective, but it doesn't necessarily change the bureaucratic policy base. Psychic or not, our citizens are our citizens. They are no better or worse for having those abilities. Whether or not it's a matter for the fall is a wonderfully interesting bit of archaeology. I've a wonderful historical interest in the fall myself. I don't know enough to comment. Nothing I've seen has linked psychics to the fall, other than factions of psychics were active around the time. It's possible, but unless the source of this wants to come forward with more wide evidence other than I've got the evidence, you'll have to trust me, which I believe is their current position, I don't think we can consider it with any great amount of scholarship.
Okay, thank you for that. That's great. So rumour about the dissent among the tribes of the Free People. Have you any comment at all?
So there is, in any society, a measure of can be a measure of turmoil. The leadership of several of the tribes has recently gone through such turmoil. There is going to be difficulty in readjusting to what the new station is. We obviously have a vested interest in our alliance with race. They are a member of the Ascendancy, and to a large degree, what is an internal political matter of the tribes is an internal political matter of the tribes. Where it starts beginning to impact FEF operations, either with the FEF going and assisting with these tribal matters, or with these tribal matters coming to our doorstep, is a matter that needs those lines, as I said earlier, quite clearly drawn as to what is our national interest, what is an internal tribal matter.
Okay, thank you very much. So coming then back to yourself, what have you done already to benefit the people you want to represent on the council?
So I did an awful lot of work moving to a state of peace with fortitude. There was a great involvement with all the FEF from all of the aspects, but particularly in negotiations with then Castellan Kincaid, now Minister Kincaid. We did an awful lot of work in deconditioning a lot of the fortitude imprints, a lot of fortitude society that was perhaps causing a lot of the maladjustment that existed in for the reason we had to intervene. That proved to me, and I think to a lot of my colleagues, that that shift in psyche was possible and let us move forward in a diplomatic avenue that was not previously open to us. I've, on a more mundane aspect, worked in infrastructure projects. So a lot of our C7 surface development, I've been ticking the boxes and moving the logistics, things like that. That's taken quite a lot of my time on the surface between missions. And again, you don't rise to the position of government minister without lending a bit of elbow grease here and there. Notably recently, I've started a research institute with several of my colleagues in the engineering divisions. We've been able to both look logistically at the sort of thing projects need and been able to advance that, reducing our salvage needs. And we're also able to contribute cold, hard hours and analysis into full research. So every few weeks we look at a new project and we go, right, how can we assist this? And we can actually put the hours in, put the numbers on the sheets to advance that. And I'm really proud that I, obviously not as a scientist myself, have been able to assist all of the aspects of Bunker Ascendant in making that progress, in moving forward with that.
Brilliant. So coming round to the end, is there anything further you would like to add? This is your chance to say whatever you like to your possible voters.
Yeah, so I think obviously I've laid out a manifesto. Go and read it. Go and read Mrs. Field's manifesto, or Ms. Field's manifesto, apologise. See what they have to say. Democracy is incredible. Whoever you vote for, if in your mind you're making the right choice, that is the democratically better solution. I am keen for us to have a fair, above board and proper election. And I'm keen for whoever wins to continue to support, so whoever loses to continue to support the winner. I have every intention of giving my full support to Ms. Fields should she win, and I'm sure the entire civil service is ready to assist and move forward whatever new council comes out of this election cycle.
Okay, thank you ever so much then for your time today, this afternoon, Julian, and I wish you all the best in the voting. This has been JT for ASCII News and of Guns and Ammo, signing off. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.